Hey, tburrier from tburrier.com. So how do you feel, right, when you're really uncertain about things? Not very good, right? I mean, it's a little bit uncomfortable, right? Uncertainty is uncomfortable. Well, I'm going to give you 5 nuggets here that could really help you in making the adjustment, right? Becoming adaptable, which is crucial, right? Because the truth is, life is uncertain, right? I mean, you really don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what's going to happen in the next hour, much less what's going to happen in the next 5 years. So here's some things that will really help you manage uncertainty, right? And bottom line is we have an overdeveloped sense of trying to be safe. When in fact there's no such thing as safe, right? It's just, you never know what's going to happen regardless what your choice is, right? So the first is recognize. You have to recognize that you've actually never had certainty, right? It's a false sense of security that we have because we live in the most comfortable time in human history. That's just the reality of it. And if you live in a developed nation, you have it pretty good. And so your idea of uncertainty is a little bit skewed when in fact you've never had certainty, right? I mean, let's face it, you've had people leave your life in a heartbeat, right? You've had things happen to you you didn't anticipate. You've been in accidents or, gotten sick, or something happened to someone you loved and you didn't expect it and it just happened, right? That's because life is uncertain in general. So you have to recognize you've never had certainty, that security is a false thing, right? The only security you can have on this earth is in developing yourself to be the best that you can be. That's the only certainty you can possibly have. So you have to recognize you've never had it, right? And then begin to think about how to manage that so that you become more and more comfortable and adaptable. The second thing is to remember. Remember that you've gone through a lot of things in your life. Things that you didn't expect, things that happened out of the blue, things where you made a mistake, things where someone else made a mistake, etc. And you know what? Over time, things tend to work out, right? You're still here. And sometimes things you thought were awful ended up being great in the long run. Not in the moment, right? Nobody likes it in the moment, but in the long run, things tend to work out okay. So you have to remember that when you're in the midst of something that's really unsettling for you. The third is focus. Focus on what you can control, right? So this is really, really important. Stop looking at the things you can't control, right? It's a lot of things that go on in the world that you can't do a single thing about, right? You cannot control what governments do. You can't control how the economy moves. You can't control pandemics. You can't control a lot of things, but you can control what you do, right? You can control what you choose to do, right? And you can control the process of improving the results in the areas of your life that you can touch, which is where we go with number 4. So if number 3 is focus on what you can control and quit spending any time looking on what you can't do anything about. All that's going to do is disempower you. The 4th is double down on circles 1 and 2. Now, if you're not familiar with what that means, this is part of my 3 Circles Living platform that I teach and which I've written a book about, which has gotten great reviews and has helped a lot of people, and it's what I've done for years and it's worked out pretty good. You see, 2 areas that you want to make sure you take care of all the time, and this is part of focus, but it's all and what you can control, but it's also part of actually what really matters. See, if you focus on taking care of your health, and that's physical and mental, and you invest in that, and I teach all about this in the 3 Circles book, that's going to help you a lot, right? It's going to give you a sense of control because you're doing something that you can do that makes a difference. And then focus on the people that you care about, right? Focus on the people, your most important relationships. You double down on those 2 circles and you've created a foundation, right? And you want to build your life on a solid foundation, a foundation of rock, not sand, right? Which is why anyone who gets the circles wrong and is totally focused on money first without taking care of those 2, they're building on sand, because something happens to your health, that money circle is irrelevant, right? Something happens to your relationship, that money circle, irrelevant, right? Bottom line, right? But when you get those first 2, everything else will take care of itself. And then the 5th thing is embrace. This is going to be the hardest one, right? If you get the first 4 right, then this one will be a little bit better. But you have to embrace the idea that uncertainty is awesome, right? If you lean into it, what does it mean for you? It means learning, right? It means opportunities. It means growth, right? That's what these actually mean. But again, we've been cultured and terrorized by the media and all kinds of things to make us miss this stuff. That all the difficult things that we go through, which is what uncertainty is, right? It's blowing up your comfort zone, which is difficult. We've been cultured to look at that stuff as bad, and it's not. Everything good that's ever happened to you was a change, which means that it was an uncertain time. And you just have to remember that while you recognize that, while you're focusing on what you can control, and while you're maintaining your foundation. So I hope that these little 5 nuggets were helpful for you. It'll take a little time, but if you work on it, I can promise you, as someone who's been through a lot of stuff in my life, that this will really help you. And I encourage you, there's a link below to go check out the 3 Circles Living book. That will really help you. And if you got a question, shoot me an email. I'll help if I can. Take care.